Alright guys, it is again Cosmo the Coder here, and welcome to another Humble Weekly Bundle review, where I'm actually going to get rid of this quite early. I'm going to have to state quite clearly that, well, I should still wear my headphones. I'll take those off actually. I'm going to state quite clearly that I haven't played any of these games, so it's going to be just my general feeling of it, how much, whether I think it's worth the cost, and what I've read from the reviews. So if you're after someone saying, wow, these games are fantastic, you should play them, then you're not going to get that, because you're going to get someone saying it looks good trailer wise, it looks good review wise. That's what you're going to get. Now this week's bundle is actually going to be something a little bit that is outside my comfort zone, because the majority of them are actually turn-based strategy games. And if you've watched any of my previous review videos, you'll know that that's not really something I'm into. Perhaps I should be, because my computer time is divided up by me being able to play games at certain points in time, when I stream, when I don't stream. My kids are usually involved. So generally speaking, I don't get a lot of computer time, and what computer time I do is broken up into bits, especially if my baby son wakes up, which is that. I'm happy to say also that after Tuesday's Humble Bundle review, I haven't got the hiccups, so no comedy here, I'm afraid. So anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch it, you'll see what I mean. So the weekly bundle is turn-based combat, turn-based real-time, turn-based strategy games. And then, hang on, I'll have a drink, and that makes it better. There we go. Right. Now, white. We're going to move straight into the white tier, which is pay what you want for 4 games. Frozen Synapse, or Synapse, or however you want to pronounce it, is a tactical shooter game, where you basically take a squad into a building or a structure, and you have to use your turns to basically eliminate the enemy. It's an extremely popular game. It's extremely well reviewed. It's also actually quite expensive at the moment. I actually just tapped it into Steam a minute ago, and it's actually for the UK anyway, it's £18.99. So the fact that you can get it for literally $1 if you really wanted to is pretty impressive. The same goes for Frozen Cortex. It's the same price. So to get the fact that you can just do $1 for 4 games that are pretty much fairly high priced, that's pretty damn good. Now, I get the feeling I have played Frozen Synapse before, but I can't remember. So I can't actually give you a thing, but it is, if you like that kind of game, a tactical shooter where you've got to figure out your way through buildings, go around corners, it's definitely one for you. Frozen Cortex is actually by the same people who made Frozen Synapse, but it's more of a sport game. It's more moving your team into 2 different positions to basically score points and everything. At least that's what it looks like from what I've read about it and what I've seen from the trailer. So again, another tactical kind of game, one that you have to sort of figure out where you want your players to be, and what to do, where to throw the ball and everything, and how to score points, obviously. So again, that kind of game takes your fancy, go for it. I also didn't mention that Synapse has a DRM-free version as well. Maybe I should say that more often. Let me know. So yeah, all 4 of them are Steam keys, apart from Shattered Planet and Frozen Synapse, because you can get those separately too. Lux Deluxe kind of looks like what do you want to call it? A digital Risk, if you even know what that means, or at least what I think Risk would look like if it was played on that. Supposedly, it's a fast-paced kind of turn-based strategy game where, well, as it says, risk and world domination. You basically try and take over the world by doing highly different things. Apparently, it's quite happy. A lot of people play it, and they're quite happy about the fact that you can generate different maps, different mods, different things like that, and create different things. So it's quite a well played game. Let's put it that way. It's not $18.99 as opposed to the other two, but it's actually about £7. So, it's not necessarily the top of the end of the price scale, but it looks pretty cool, and who knows? Apparently, it's been over a decade, out for over a decade now. I can't talk. Lack of sleep. Blame the kids, as always. Shattered Planet is another sort of turn-based game where I'm going to say it looks like a bit like Disgaea, where you sort of move on a grid-based system, an isometric grid-based system, and fight aliens and explore, basically. If you don't know what Disgaea is, don't worry about it. It's just one of those things that I know about because I've seen it and played it briefly. It's a turn-based combat system, and a turn-based movement system. So it's pretty much that. It's quite cartoony looking. It looks quite fun. Be as it will, it's up to you what you think about it. But overall, like I said, the fact that it's just there's no limit on it, and the price of the game's definitely worth the first tier. Assuming, of course, you're into that kind of game. This is kind of the thing about this. The bundle itself, if you're kleptomaniac and you want to collect all these games, absolutely go for it. But one thing I always say is, look, if you're never going to play them, what's the point? So if you're going to play these kind of games, by all means, get them. Granted, $15 isn't a lot. Or not $15, but a couple of bucks isn't a lot. But if you were to go for the blue one, $15 isn't a lot, and you get quite a lot of stuff, and you might play them in the future. But it's one of those things you say, do I really need to spend $15? Yes or no? So it's really your call. So green tier, 2 games, and 1 DLC, is The Last Federation and Reassembly. Now both games are space simulators, where Reassembly appears to be sort of more you build your own ship and then you sort of explore space and build a fleet up and everything like that. Last Federation seems to be more of a turn-based one as opposed to Reassembly. Let's click a Reassembly. I don't think Reassembly is that much of a turn-based. No, but you basically build your own ship up and develop your own sort of crew and make your own allies. You basically build your own mark in the universe. It looks pretty cool, admittedly. And again, it actually turns out that I own both of these. So even if I didn't want to go for the $15 one, I could just get these games quite easily. I think I own Frozen Synapse, but the other 3 I don't think I own. So it's a possibility. So Last Federation again looks pretty nifty, but again you build a ship, but you also have turn-based tactical combat, and it's an extremely large universe. These 2 games, I suspect, will suck a lot of your time if you get into them, and it's definitely something that you have to be sure about, because these games demand your attention. You have to do a lot of micromanagement, a lot of sort of assessing of different things, different numbers, figuring out which locations to go to, what enemies to fight. It's definitely a game that's going to need you to think a lot and to do a lot of work. Moving on to the blue tier. Chaos Reborn is a tactical turn-based game where you basically again it's sort of you sort of jump from space to space, kind of like a isometric board, and you fight different monsters, you fight different creatures, different people. It's got some quite good reviews about it. It's quite a well-loved game. I can't really say much more than that. I'm struggling here. This is the trouble. Some weeks I'm going to know stuff. Some weeks I'm just going to go, So in general, I'd say, you know, check it out on Steam, check it out in the review section, see what you think. You know, cost-wise, again, it's worth it just for the $15. But as always, you can pay more on Humble Bundle. Just so you know, people don't always do that, and I know that people don't have to do that. Some people do, some people don't. I do and I don't, depending on what my financial situation and whether I think the bundle's worth it or not. So there you go. Now, Big Pharma. At first, I thought it was going to be a sort of theme hospital replica, but it's actually sort of the pharmaceuticals company where you have to build a factory and develop research and, you know, that kind of sort of thing. So it's more of a thinking game than actual sort of simulation game. But at the same, you know, it's something that you might want to consider as well. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty clever. So it's definitely something that you might want to consider playing, or at least consider looking at if you're into that kind of thing. I personally think I'm going to go for the $15 one. I think my finances will allow for it, and then at least I've got the games that I haven't already got. And if I ever do find myself at a loose end at some point in the next however long, whenever I get a chance to, the kids are old enough to sleep all the way through and I can do it, or when they're at school, then I'm going to sit down and play these games, because it's going to, a lot of them look pretty cool, but it's just, have I got the time for them? Probably not right now, but in the future, yes. Now, I will mention actually that Frozen Cortex does come with a free key to give to a friend, so that's pretty nifty. So you can actually, because it's a sort of cooperative game, so you can play multiplayer against somebody. Now, obviously, I don't have many friends that will want to play that, but it's a pretty good deal. The fact that you get 2 keys for that price, that's really cool indeed. You do get some soundtracks, which is always a good thing in my opinion. You know, that you get the soundtracks with the games, because I know Steam does it, but they usually either charge for them or offer them as DLCs. And, you know, if the music's that good and you want the soundtrack, yeah, absolutely buy it. But at the same time, if it's in the game anyway, making it available to them is a pretty good thing, in my opinion. All right, well, that's pretty much everything I can give you on this week's bundle. As always, let me know what you think. Like, dislike, subscribe, the usual sort of things. Comment, by all means. Tell me what you think, whether what I'm saying is a load of rubbish, or if you want to add your own 2 cents, by all means. Now, tomorrow is the next Humble Monthly Bundle. I won't be reviewing it tomorrow. I'll probably do it Saturday. As you can already see, Alien Isolation is part of the Humble Monthly Bundle. And if we click on it just quickly, it's probably not gonna. Yeah. So that's pretty much it as far as it goes. Nice little picture of sort of Ripley there. So Alien Isolation is definitely there. It's coming out tomorrow, so expect to see my review of this on Saturday, and I'll let you know what I think. Okay. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.